welcome to True Audiophiles. Thank you for tuning in. So today, no surprise, is going to be my haul from Record Store Day. This one was a little lighter than normal, but still got quite a few titles. I approached it a little bit different this year, or I should say this time around. Not a lot different, but for those of you who know me or have watched my videos, especially for Record Store Day hauls, you know that there's a couple of things that I tend to avoid. There's some exceptions to that, but I tend to skip, for example, unreleased live albums, stuff that's never been released on video before, on vinyl before, or on any format before. It's unheard live recordings. I tend to try to stay away from those because those tend not to sound very good. I tend to also stay away from picture discs. And in this case, this year, one other thing I tried to stay away from for the most part, there was one exception though, is stuff that are a first release for Record Store Day. So in other words, they are releasing them on Record Store Day first, before they release them to the general public, to the general regular stores. And so they're not going to be Record Store Day exclusives. So those are kind of my criteria that I stuck with for the most part this time around. There were some that I really was interested in, but I just didn't get. Like, for example, some of the stuff that probably were pretty big out there were the Olivia Rodrigo Guts Spilled, which I actually have the Olivia Rodrigo website exclusive version of that came out probably 2 or 3 months ago, and this is a first released to regular stores for Record Store Day, and it's gonna, looks like, come out also later on, probably in a different color though. But so there's that. There's the Billie Eilish, the isolated vocals. A couple of big reasons why I didn't go for that one. Big one was, I can't say I was a huge fan of the album to begin with, but what really kind of put it over the edge for me, number one, besides the fact that it's a first release, so they're going to be releasing it to a more mass audience later on, but my experience with the original normal album release was that the vinyl was really noisy, and if you're gonna have a vocal isolated version of the album on vinyl, and it's going to be noisy, I can't imagine it being something that's enjoyable to listen to. So that's part of the other reason why I stayed away from that also. So there were a couple other ones there were a couple of jazz titles that I was pretty interested in, but they were mono versions, and there are either already stereo versions out or coming out for those, and I'd rather have the stereo versions of those. So kind of avoided those as well. So that being said, it is kind of an unusual year. I didn't get any jazz, and I usually get some jazz titles, but this time around I didn't get any. I might later on. We'll see. Like, there's a Bill Evans live one that I'm still kind of deciding whether I want it or not. I don't usually get those, or I should say I've gotten those in the past, and I've been kind of mixed, lukewarm on them. They sound really, really good, but it's just not something I go back and listen to often. So anyway, here we go with my haul for today. So first one up is Ramones' Greatest Hits. Biggest reason for this was, I really love the Ramones. I kind of wanted a Greatest Hits on vinyl that I can pull out and listen to. I have a CD version. I think it's Ramones Mania or something like that on CD. But this is a special Greatest Hits. It's only available on Record Store Day. It was actually cut by my favorite cutting engineer, Joe, from Sterling, and it's on red vinyl. And it was also mastered, or remastered, if you will, or mastered by Bill Ingot, who is another person that I really enjoy his work as well. So those are probably two of the bigger reasons I got it, because I figured that they probably had something to do with those, and or I should say do with that, and I really love their work, so I wanted to get that and support them. Next one up is one that I kind of hemmed and hawed about, but I just had to get it just because it's one of my favorite albums to begin with, and it's Stone Temple Pilots, and it's called Purple Rarities. So this is basically demos and outtakes from the Purple album from Stone Temple Pilots, and It's got like early versions of the tracks and things like that. But this is one of my favorite albums. But I already have these tracks in a high resolution digital download, and I think I might even have a CD version of them also. But I really wanted to get a vinyl version of it. So pretty excited about that because I do like those. This one's kind of an interesting one because it's really something that is probably, I don't know how popular it is. I know it's a pretty limited release, and it's probably only known for one song on this, but it's King Missile, and it's Happy Hour. The infamous song on this is Detachable Penis. For those of you who lived in the 90s, you possibly have heard it if you listened to music quite a bit back then, but this has got that song on it. I think this has got it in a special colored vinyl, I think, as well. So that one was actually one of the more expensive ones, which I was kind of disappointed about. Luckily, most of these titles were relatively reasonably priced. There were some exceptions like that one and this one to a certain extent as well. But this is U2, How to Reassemble an Atomic Bomb. And this is basically tracks that were previously unreleased from that era that they put out on the Super Deluxe box sets, both the vinyl and I think it's on the vinyl anyways. I'm pretty sure it is. But anyway, the vinyl box set and the CD box set, so they've just released it as a singular title on its own for Record Store Day. I have the CD box set. I didn't really want to spend the money on the vinyl box set just because it's pretty much a digital recordings as it was, and I think right around CD quality digital. So I didn't really see the sense in getting the vinyl version. Kind of doing that more often because if you've seen any of my earlier, probably my last video, vinyl box sets are in many cases 3, sometimes 4 times the price of the CD box set, and if it's essentially going to be like a CD quality recording that they've cut onto vinyl, I'm probably just going to end up getting the CD in a lot of those cases. So that was the case with that, but I figured I wanted to get the record, and that one record. So this one was actually probably the best value, if you will, of all of them, and I'm very interested in this. I heard a sampler of this before I purchased it, but huge Curtis Mayfield fan, but this is basically, it says the soul and songs of young Curtis Mayfield. Basically, it's during his time with the Impressions and some other stuff that I'm assuming he wrote or had something to do with in terms of producing or recording with them on these. So 2-record set done by Kraft. They usually do a pretty good job with their releases. So this was a pretty limited release. So excited to check that one out. This is the one release that is a Record Store Day first release. So it's supposed to be coming out some other time. I'm not sure when, and I don't know if it's going to be in the same kind of format as this one because it's kind of a unusual one, but it's a Kacey Musgraves. It's called Deeper Into the Well. Basically, this is from she had released an album called Into the Well earlier this year. This is basically the kind of the part of these Deeper Into the Well Super Deluxe version, which had 7 additional tracks. The digital version did, anyways, I downloaded. But this has basically got those 7 additional tracks on one side of the record, and the second side is just sounds from the heart of the woods, that she calls it. So I'm guessing it's just nature sounds on the second side. On green vinyl. I don't know how it's going to show up later on. Maybe they'll make a 2-record set with the regular record on one record and then this on the other record. I'm not sure. But so anyway, that was the exception to the rule that I have for first released vinyl on Record Store Day this year. And the last one was, I'm sorry, I got 2 more actually. So this one was almost a last minute one, and I'm a pretty big blues fan. Don't see blues come up all that often in Record Store Day, but big fan of John Lee Hooker. So this is an album that, it's saying it's recorded in 1953 and 1961. There's 4 additional tracks from the original version of this album called Don't don't turn me from your door. This is, I guess, the French cover as well. So it's kind of the rare, if you will, cover of this. And I think that it's also yellow. So yeah, it's on yellow vinyl as well. So kind of excited about this one. Looking forward to checking out some old John Lee Hooker. Kind of interesting that it's 1953 and 1961 though. But anyways, we'll see. We'll see how that sounds. And this is last but definitely not least, one of my favorite 90s bands. They hold a special place in my heart. I've actually had met the lead singer before he passed away. And when I was living in Boston, and this is Morphine. This is B-sides and otherwise. So this is basically some B-sides, some stuff from like soundtracks and things like that, and all put together onto one record. So looking forward to this one as well. So I can't wait to check it out and see what it's like. So that's all of my selections I have for today. So let me know what you guys got. How did you guys make out? Did you get everything that you wanted? Did you skip out on some of the first release stuff or live or picture discs like I did? I'd love to hear how you made out. So anyway, that's everything I've got for this week. Thank you very much for watching, and you have yourself a good rest of the day and a good rest of the week. Thank you.